This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at thebatmanuniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
None of us are walking out of here unless we work together.
With you. You gotta be kidding me.
Isn't this fun? It's just like the sleepover. We should order pizza. Big Cosmos. Harley, focus. Okay. I'm the one they should be scared of. Because I'm Harley freaking Quinn.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Tim, Former GameStop Employee. This is episode 194. As in the aforementioned title, my name is Tim, and joining me, as always, is Dane. And Dane, you had a big announcement you made to me earlier this week that we just have to share with everybody.
And what would that be, Tim?
You got your very first Star Wars t-shirt.
Yeah, I did. You know, I kind of wanted it to be something unique, right?
Mm.
Not something. Well, I mean, I was looking at the retro T-shirts, which I think look really cool with the old artwork, original trilogy posters and stuff. But I was like, I'm not sure if, I mean, is that too? I don't know what the right word is. General.
Yeah, too common. I guess you see a lot
Common?
of people wear
Yeah.
those t-shirts because those are the ones you can get at Target and those other type of stores.
Right. And then I did see one where I forget the name of the website, but they're using the old what is that called? Not stills, but you know when they're plotting out the action sequences or whatever, and then ILM needs to draw it out first.
Like the concept art.
Concept, right? The concept art, like, okay, so like there's an image of the X-wing opening up its wings, you know.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't know, maybe people won't know what that is. So yeah, I finally got one, Tim.
And it's perfect for you, Dane.
Right. It's a Mandalorian one. It says "Aloha, this is the way,"
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
And the O is in the shape of the Mandalorian helmet, which is cool.
Yeah. And he has the Hawaii state flag on it, so that was pretty cool. So it is unique, and it's something only I guess Star Wars fans would know.
And residents of Hawaii, so it's just
Right.
perfect.
Yeah, I remember I went to North Carolina, and I don't know if you know, but the Hawaii state flag has the British Union Jack on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many people asked me. Must have been like 3 or 4 people asked me, "Oh, are you British?" It's like,
Now,
no.
you did try to play it up and do a British accent when you responded to them.
No.
Just to play the part.
No, because then I would have really been given away. So no.
That's funny though. Well, Dave, I'm glad to have you join the Star Wars T-shirt club, but you got a long way to go to catch up to me.
Right. I need about 2,500. Right.
Just about. If you count all the T-shirts I've had over the course of my life as a little kid and up till now, it's probably around there. That's awesome, though.
But they sell Star Wars T-shirts at Walmart.
Yeah, but like you said, it's kind of those generic ones that you always see.
Oh.
I
do
usually
like
just get my shirts online now. I mean,
Yeah,
when
right.
The Force Awakens came out, they had a great variety of T-shirts you can get. But ever since then, it was never been that good for when a new movie came out. Just like one or two T-shirts here and there at the actual stores, but all the good ones you have to get online.
Right, right. I do like the throwback ones though. I think those are really, really good looking.
Yes, but some of them are, but I think they're kind of it's getting overplayed a little bit. I think because they're making too many of them in that style.
Yeah, that's true. And I also saw one with I guess it was the Japanese poster because there was a bunch of Japanese text on it, and I thought, yeah, maybe I'll get that one. But
Yeah, I think I've seen
yeah,
that one floating around too.
yeah. I decided against it though because yeah,
Well, I think you made the right choice. I like that one.
Yeah.
When you got a lot, so
yeah, right.
congratulations.
Thank you, Tim. Hopefully, I am an official Star Wars fan now. Do I get a card in the mail?
I could send you one of my many fan club cards I've gotten over the years when I renewed my Star Wars Insider subscription. If you really want one to make it official from Tim.
That's okay, Tim.
You sure?
You keep that because that's a keepsake that you can give your grandkids. You're like, look how big of a nerd Grandpa was.
Yeah.
Grandpa is.
Yeah, I'll never stop
Yeah.
being a nerd, that's for sure. No matter how old. All right. So now that Dane is officially in the Star Wars fan club with his Star Wars t-shirt, I guess we can go into our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary. But I should ask, have you worn your t-shirt a lot yet, Dane?
I've worn it once, and that was
Okay.
yesterday. So, yeah.
I mean, you didn't want to wear it from when we recorded, just so, knowing I was on the other line wearing a Star Wars t-shirt, and you could be wearing one too.
Well, I would have, but it's dirty. So, yeah.
Next time, so it can be linked in the Force with our Star Wars t-shirts.
Yeah, next time. Next time I will, Tim.
Okay.
I'll have it ready.
Don't disappoint me next time. All right. So, as always, getting into our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary, go ahead and grab your VHS player, your Betamax player, your DVD player, your Laserdisc player, your HD DVD player, your Blockbuster membership card, your Netflix physical media, your projector. Am I forgetting anything? The soon-to-be dead formats, Blu-ray, 4K, produced in the next few years.
No, but I thought it was funny that you said laserdisc player because you don't even see those secondhand. Like maybe you'll see,
Yeah,
maybe
you
you'll
can still
see,
find some VCRs probably.
yeah, yeah, or the VCR TVs. I see a lot of VCR TVs. I guess people are throwing away the bulk pickup. So I see a lot of those.
I don't remember how big they were. I'm sure they were huge, but because of how big the discs were for Laserdisc. But
right.
I only knew one person who had one, but I don't remember what the machine looked like.
Yeah, like you, I remember only one person having it, and I don't even think we watched a movie on it. It was like a friend of mine from elementary school. So yeah, it was a long
Now
time.
I remember the person putting the disc in, and then halfway through the movie having to stop it, flip it over, and start it on the other side. I mean, how inconvenient is that?
Well, I mean, you have to put it in perspective, right? Laserdisc, cassette tapes, right? Maybe it wasn't such a inconvenience back then.
But even VHS tapes, you didn't have to flip over and play it all the way through. And sometimes if the movie was long, you'd have two VHS tapes for like 3-hour movies, but
yeah,
those weren't very common. So VHS had the advantage there.
Well, at least you didn't have to rewind it, right? You didn't have to rewind the Laserdisc.
I remember we actually had just a specific rewind machine so we wouldn't wear out the heads on the VCR. So after it was over, we would just stick the tape in the rewind machine, and that's all it would do.
Wow. Somebody was a rich kid.
And we're obsessed with good quality in our house. I mean,
I
we don't
guess.
want anything wearing down those VHS tapes because who would have thought years down the line we'd have DVDs and Blu-rays where that would it be an issue?
I know. I wonder how much money Blockbuster lost when they
The
started
rewind fees.
just DVDs, right? I wonder how much they lost in rewind fees when DVDs came out.
That was the beginning of the end, I guess, for Blockbuster,
Yeah,
losing some
yeah,
money there.
maybe that was the beginning of the end for Blockbuster.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
man, we can't charge people for not rewinding their tapes, you know.
So what do you think about that's such a stupid fee? I mean, late fees, yeah, I can understand, but not rewinding it. I wonder how much those fees actually were because I don't remember. Because we
I
always made sure to rewind our VHS tapes that we rented.
And how much of an inconvenience was it for Blockbuster? I mean,
I
you would
know.
assume that they would, have that down.
I
I
know
mean,
if my household had a rewind machine, you would think a big company back then like Blockbuster would have their own rewind machine that takes a minute to rewind the whole tape.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of like you go into a auto shop and you're you want to change your brakes, right? And
Mhm.
then the shop charges you for throwing away your old brakes,
Yeah.
your old brake pads. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, just any way they can make money, I guess.
I
But
guess.
not look where it got them.
I
No
know.
longer in business.
Well, I think it was more than that.
No, I like to believe now it's all because of the rewind. That's what I'm going to believe now.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I wonder what the downfall of GameStop was. I mean, I kind of know, but what was the first thing? Was it digital downloads? Was that it, or was it something smaller, like I don't know, pushing those used games or something?
I think really the digital downloads
Right.
that is the biggest thing.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of something small that they would charge for that.
Well, when I worked there,
Yeah.
there was no little extra charges that you have. It's just the thing that everyone complained about was the small trade-in value you get for games.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'd bring in like three games. Okay, so I spent, I don't know, 100 and something dollars on it, but you're only getting $25 back. You know,
Sometimes not even that much.
yeah,
I mean, the big thing was, I might have said this before, but sports games, even if they're just a year old, like the next year's sports game's about to come out and they want to trade in the old one, they'd
oh
go
yeah,
down to like $5. And some of them, if they're like 2 or 3 years old, they'd be like the dollar and even like 50 cent range. It
wow.
got pretty ridiculous.
Okay,
Like the
so
sports games were the worst to trade in if they were old.
I have FIFA something, 15,
Mhm.
right? Or FIFA, let's say 10, right? And then it's 2005 or whatever, and I am going to trade it in, and I'm only going to get, and the new FIFA 11 is coming out, right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to trade it in to get FIFA 11. So now that is only worth, or FIFA 10 is only worth $1.50.
If it's a year old, I
Yeah,
think it might be up to 10. Anything after that
10.
is going to be like in the dollar range.
Wow.
Like
Yeah,
if it's like a 5 year gap, easily a dollar, maybe even less.
yeah. Or maybe it was the reserve system, right? Because you had to put down what, $5 was it?
Yeah. Mhm.
But that $5 didn't go towards what you
No,
pay
it did.
the game. Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Oh,
Yeah,
never
because
mind.
I don't think anyone would reserve if that was the case.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. For some reason, I guess over time, I got it in my head that that $5 was just to put your name on the list.
That'd be a big time rip off if that was the case. Unless it was like a super popular rare game that they weren't going to get a lot of in, I could
Yeah,
see that, but that really was the case. And if you pre-ordered it, that counted towards the inventory the store would get of the new game, so you didn't have to worry about not getting it. Of course, some instances they get a little undershort with some of the shipment, or someone would mess up and sell a copy they shouldn't. But
Yeah.
it was pretty accurate, at least when I was there, as far as having enough copies that people reserved.
Or you know what I never got really was why they would push the used games. I mean, I'm sure you've mentioned this, Tim, but I'm not sure why they would push the used games before the new copies.
Because the used game is all profit for GameStop.
Ah, I see. Okay, so like they lowball you if you're trading it in, but then they're selling it at a much higher price for pure profit.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why they always push the used games. I always found
I
that
see.
funny too. Like before I even worked there, going into stores like that for games, or even like a CD store called Penny Lane would sell used CDs, and we get a new game or a new CD. And they go, hey, would you want the used one? I go, why would I want to use one if you guys have the new one in stock? I think the used one should
Right.
be only if you're out of the new ones, but
Right.
it makes sense from the business standpoint that you want to push the used ones where you get all the profit from it.
Yeah, but I wonder how much they were paying for brand new games. Where
Yeah,
like
that I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
were they paying a lot for these games for the new ones?
I'm sure it obviously had to be a fair amount to them really want to
Yeah.
push the used one, so that it could be all their money.
Right, right, right.
And they used to have the best policy where even you can return a new game you opened and played within a week, I believe it was.
Yeah, I took advantage of that
Yeah,
a
a lot of
lot.
people did, and I think they
Yeah.
finally realized that we probably shouldn't do this.
Yeah, because my name ended up on a list, a
Oh,
GameStop
really?
list, and I wasn't allowed to return games anymore.
That's great.
Or what I would do was because it was around the time that the music industry was changing, and so stores were changing, music stores were changing.
Mhm.
So I would what would I do? Yeah, I would buy the game from GameStop and then play it, and then, oh, okay, I like it, and then I would return that game to GameStop, and then I would go to, I don't know if you remember Sam Goody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they used to. I guess they were struggling, so they used to sell games, and they would sell games cheaper, like
Okay.
$10 cheaper. So
Uh-huh.
I would go to GameStop downstairs and buy the game there. So I saved $10 or whatever.
That's smart. I mean, if they have those options available, it's for you to take advantage of.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, my name ended up on a list, and I wasn't allowed to return
They
video
shouldn't
games
even. I
anymore.
mean, there's a point. Yeah, I guess if someone does it all the time, but still, it's. I mean, it's the company's fault for having that
Yeah.
policy. But they obviously got wise and didn't do that anymore because that didn't last too long while I was working there. Like a few months since I started, and then the policy changed.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, that's our GameStop update from my
Right.
past life.
but
But
that's how to I don't know, buy games cheaper, I guess.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
in the old days.
Right, right. You don't have that return policy.
But of course, we can't start the Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary without mentioning the greatest format ever,
Yeah.
your VHS to DVD converter. They should have a store that
Yeah.
would just specialty doing that, like VHS to DVD converter stop. It's the sister company of GameStop. Bring in your VHS and convert them to DVDs.
I mean, if you have like old family videos of you guys on vacation or something, and you don't know how, right?
Yeah.
You don't know how. Just like Xerox stores, people didn't know how to make their own copies, I guess, or they didn't have a copy machine. See, I could see the use in it.
Yeah, I think there was little mom and pop shops that would do that. And my dad even did that for some people who didn't know how to do that a lot. As a
Really?
kind of a small business thing like 20 years ago. So that could have been something that I think a lot of people would have took advantage of. But
What did he charge?
see, I don't remember. I
Oh.
forget if it was by the length of the videos or if it was a flat rate. I don't remember. I think it might have been like charged by the length of it, like how long each.
So he charged by like the minute or
Like by
every
the
10
hour or
minutes,
something.
so-
It might have been something like that. I don't remember, but
Oh, I see. Wow, that's pretty inventive of your dad.
Yeah, you
I'd
got this
say.
whole editing machine. Like before, you could do all this stuff on your computer. You had this
Yeah.
whole like, machine board that had editing tools and effects and all that. It was pretty good
So
for the time.
so your dad is pretty much the story of GameStop or Tower Records or Sam Goody.
Yeah,
He got replaced by the digital age.
yeah. By home computers and Macs, everything you could do, all that.
Uh, but
Uh,
anyway,
yeah,
yeah.
good times in the 90s. All right, so we are going to go from the 142-minute mark to the 143-minute mark, or the 2 hour and 22nd minute to the 2 hour and 23rd minute. So, are you ready, Dane?
Yes, I am.
Here is the countdown: 3, 2, 1, play. As we see
Oh, wow,
Foley's.
that's really loud.
You forgot to lower it.
Yeah.
I always felt this sequence was edited a little awkwardly. I mean, Bane's right-hand man gets shot. It barely looks like you see him get hit. He just falls down. And
Yeah.
then you see Foley try to shoot the tumbler, and then Talia just has to fire. And we just see him dead on the ground. We don't even see him get hit. And I remember there was an alternate version of how he died where he got run over by the tumbler. And
He got
that's
run
why he's on the
over?
floor. Yeah, like he gets hit by
Oh,
it instead of
wow.
getting shot. But apparently Chris Nolan didn't like how that was.
Yeah.
And the death of Bane getting blasted by the Batpod. I remember I was surprised by that. Like, didn't know if Bane was going to survive or die, but did not expect him to go out like that.
Would that really do it though? I mean,
Yeah, I think so. It was
Yeah.
probably some pretty heavy artillery on that Batpod. But well, we're getting closer. We're in the climactic action sequence here. I mean, Dane, we're done with Bane in this movie. That's
know.
a pretty big thing.
I know Bane is gone. Commissioner Gordon's in the truck.
Foley's
can you
gone.
imagine if they can you imagine if they all of a sudden hit the brakes on that truck? Commissioner Gordon would slam against the front of that shipping container.
It wouldn't have ended well for Gordon, that's for sure.
No.
So yeah, we made it to a big milestone in our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary. Every episode now, we're just getting closer and closer to the end.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe we're almost done with it, Tim. I mean, I don't want to jump the gun because I know we got 20 minutes left.
Yeah, but still, big things are happening.
Yeah.
All right, so from one big movie to another movie that we're going to be talking about now in our feature topic, which is going to be a review of Birds of Prey. And see, I'm already, it's a long title, The Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn, or am I forgetting some other words in there? But
I think you got it. The Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
One Harley Quinn. That's
Yeah.
what I forgot. I forgot the one.
Yeah,
So yeah, the movie is out now, and
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about it. As always, going to throw a spoiler warning out there. Hopefully, by the time you're listening to this, you have seen it. So before I start, I got to ask you, Dane, because I don't know yet. I know you generally like to wait to see how the reviews are for movies if you're going to go see it. And Birds of Prey got generally positive reviews. So did you see
Yeah.
it? Or are you still holding off on my word for it?
You see, I didn't see it yet. I did see the good reviews, and I am going to see it tonight.
Sweet. So now I'm worried. Probably should have talked about this beforehand. About going into more spoiler stuff since you haven't seen it yet. And you are
That is okay. That's okay. I mean,
You
Birds
sure?
of Prey isn't. I don't know what movie. Let's say Avengers Endgame. It's not that
Yeah.
where you don't want to be spoiled on it. So I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not like huge plot twists or anything. There's just, what happens to certain characters, I guess, is the thing. I don't know if you want to be spoiled on, but if you're okay with it, I'll go ahead because one of it lies into one of my complaints of the movie, which I'll get into, but
Can I guess your complaint?
go for it.
It has something to do with Ewan McGregor.
Yes, you are right.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
But I'll get
I'm
to
just
that.
wondering, does he Does he? What possible complaint? Yeah, I do have one, Tim. There were no Star Wars references.
There were not, unless I
Yeah,
missed it. But
yeah.
maybe there could have been a opportunity for an Obi-Wan joke or reference in there, but there wasn't.
I think that would have been too on the nose.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, so it would have been a funny surprise if there was one.
Right.
But you'll hear my complaint about Ewan McGregor's Black Mass when I get to it. But
Wait. Before you go, was it because it just was not good?
it was not because of that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So overall, going into the movie, of course I was going to go see it. It's a DC comic book movie. Harley Quinn's in it, classic DC character. I'm going to see it, but I didn't have that full blown excitement for it like I have other movies in the comic book film genre. But the trailers for it, it looked like it was going to be a fun movie that was a good time. Wasn't sure about kind of the aesthetic and the look of it. None of the characters were really having their classic comic book costume, or didn't feel like the characters we've normally seen them in. And again, that's okay when movies try to do different interpretations of it, but I wasn't sure I was sold on the whole street level look of it. But it still looked like it was going to be a fun movie. But then last week, when they had some preview screenings and some early buzz was going around for it, it was generally positive, and a lot of people were saying how good it was. Some even saying how they were surprised at how good it was. So that got me really excited going into it this past week. And then when the review embargo lifted and it was getting generally positive reviews from critics and not just fan screenings and reactions, that's when I started getting really excited. People were saying how great Margot Robbie's Harley's performance was again, how cool the action was. And so I was getting excited to see it. And when I finally saw it that first Thursday screening, I was going into it with a pretty good buzz, being excited to see this film. And my overall reaction, very glad to say, I really, really liked it. It was probably better than I was expecting. Like my initial thoughts going into it were I was expecting just a fun, good time movie. It was definitely that, but there was also so much more to it. Because, I don't know, I just felt it was going to be something different tonally than most comic book films or even the DC films. And while it is definitely unique, it's the most unique DC film that we've gotten so far, it still felt like we're a comic book movie that I would expect with these type of characters to be in. It had that feel to a good, solid story that evolves around a crime story with the mob boss, obviously with Black Mass and what he's trying to go after, and then the different characters coming together. All that worked really well. But it's my first obvious reaction to it is that it's obviously playing off of what Deadpool built. It's rated R like Deadpool, and Harley Quinn does not necessarily does too many goofy and wacky stuff that Deadpool does. There are some wacky moments in this movie, but where it reminds me of Deadpool is where she breaks the fourth wall a lot. She's talking to the audience. There's a lot of that. The movie, which was a surprise, is not told in a linear fashion. There's a lot of flashbacks, pauses. There'd be a moment where the scene's playing out and Harley would just say, well, let's pause for a second. We got to go back here a little bit to show you how this character came in. So it was played out in a non-linear fashion. And I like that. It worked. It all came together to have the narrative make sense in the end once we get to a point where it moves forward. But it was just something different and unique that I liked about it, where you're being told the story, a character comes in, then Harley would have to go and explain the history of the character. I wonder if some people might have a problem with that, with the pacing of it, as far as going back and forth. But to me, it worked because it was just something different. But like I said, it all came together once the story came to a point where it had to move forward and not do so much with the flashbacks. But it was done in a different way. And I just liked how the movie began. Really, it's telling the origin of Harley, but in a cool way. It was pretty much an animated short how the movie kicks off telling Harley's origin. And it was really fun to see Harley's origin play out that we know from Mad Love, and I think even taking stuff from some of the more recent comics, and just seeing how her relationship with the Joker came to an end. There's, like I said, got some Mad Love vibes to it, and then later on in the movie there were some Harley's Holiday vibes from those classic episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and taking inspirations from her more recent stories. So it all came together, telling to take the stuff that we know from Harley in the comics lore and seeing it on screen was really cool. So I really like that aspect about it. And then just the performances. Margot Robbie, I mean, she was amazing in this movie. She was great in Suicide Squad. Say what you want about that movie, but I think we can all agree that she was a great Harley Quinn in that. Maybe didn't have some of the best things to do in that movie when you think of having a film to be Harley's debut. But in this one, she's full-blown Harley that we know and love. Everything about the character that we love from the animated series, from the comics and other stories that she's been in, it was on display here. And it was just really, really cool to see. And this Margot Robbie just nails it. She is Harley. She's becoming one of those comic book movie performances that's going to be, I think, remembered where only she can play the character. I think she nails it. She is that good in this one. All the different emotions and phases that Harley goes through, her just trying to get through, her breaking up with the Joker, seeing how she reacts to that, doing some crazy things, and then also coming to terms that she's ready to move on from the Joker and be, you know, her own independent woman now and what she's going to do with her life. And then just when she's going on being the criminal version of Harley, the insane Harley, we see that side of her. We see her being the psychiatrist Harley in certain moments and certain bits of her dialogue where she does really well. And then also the more sensitive and caring side that she brings to Harley. So she just captures every aspect and characterization and emotion that we've seen Harley have in various stories. And it was all in the forefront in this movie. And Margot Robbie does an amazing job bringing all of that to life. She was fantastic. And I just can't wait to hopefully see her more as Harley down the line. But then the other characters, every character in this movie, I felt did a great job of bringing these comic book characters to life to screen. And I think my favorite out of all of them was Jurnee Smollett-Bell as Black Canary. She was really, really great. And probably out of the characters other than Harley had the most significant screen time and the central to the plot, I felt. But she nailed Dinah Lance in this film. And they captured, I think, everything that we like about the character from what we know of her history, going to be a nightclub singer, her great martial arts abilities that was on display here, and of course her classic canary scream. So she did a great job. And then the one that probably was not disappointing because of performance, but disappointing because she wasn't in a lot, was Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. She's central to the story, but she doesn't really come into it till the very end. But she had a great presence, and just her personality and her interactions with the other characters was just really great. It was just would have been nice if we had her more throughout the story in the beginning, as far as more dialogue and more interactions with the characters. And then Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya, little different, not different, but I guess the ways that she is older in this one, and we see her with the GCPD and kind of having her fallout from that and wanting to move on from the GCPD. That was played out really well. And then as far as the main hero, or our protagonist, I should say, in this movie, with Harley being involved, but not necessarily hero, but the other member of the Birds of Prey was making her live action movie screen and TV screen, I guess you could say, is Cassandra Cain. Now, when this was first announced that Cassandra Cain was going to be in Birds of Prey, I got really excited just because I love the character. She's great. But this, I don't want to say it's a disappointment because it was pretty obvious they were doing something different with the character than her comic book origins. So I kind of felt that going into it. So I don't want to say it was a disappointment once I saw it, knowing or expecting something totally different, and I got something else because I knew it was going to be different. But at the same time, how they use Cassandra Cain here, I thought worked really well for the story. I mean, she is an orphan and a pickpocket who gets mixed in with the stuff going on with Black Mass and Harley, and she gets involved with something that Black Mass really wants from her. And that worked really well for the story. So you just kind of got to accept that this is not the Cassandra Cain we know from the comics. And part of me that makes it okay is that with the situation with the DC films and Batman films and not kind of being connected, off doing their own thing, I don't think we were going to get the comic book accurate Cassandra Cain for a while or anytime soon. So figure they might as well use her for this story. And even though it's different, might as well get the character out there and have her be portrayed on screen, but just in a different way, because it would probably be way, way down the line if we ever saw the Cassandra Cain Batgirl that we know from the comics. Hopefully one day we'll get that. But at the same time, I thought how she was used here was good for the story. And then we get to the villain, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask. And obviously I was super excited to have Ewan McGregor in a comic book movie, which is just great in itself, but playing a cool villain like Black Mask, I couldn't wait to see what he did with it. And he did not disappoint. Ewan McGregor was great as a villain in this. And I said before when we learned that Black Mask was going to be in the movie, how I wanted more of that sadistic, sinister Black Mask, not the one who was kind of flamboyant and over the top with some of the things he would do and react to certain situations. Because I know there's two versions of Black Mask that are out there where some write him that way and others don't. But actually, Ewan McGregor combined both elements of the character. We do get that flamboyant Black Mask who makes his presence known and gets what he wants, kind of how we see in various stories like Under the Red Hood. That was more of that flamboyant, crazy Black Mask. Ewan McGregor brings that, but man, he's also a sinister villain too, and can be evil and sadistic when he needs to be, to sell how much of a threat he's going to be in this movie. He does some pretty messed up things in this film, which makes you really hate the character like you're supposed to hate any villain. But at the same time, knowing that that's what makes a villain a good villain, knowing he's doing stuff that you hate and you want to see him be brought down or be brought to justice because of the terrible stuff he does. And Ewan McGregor does a great job of both. And the Black Mask element wasn't played up too much, which kind of is a little of a bummer because it's such a great look. I love the design of Black Mask with that black skull mask. Ewan McGregor does wear it. It is something that he wears mainly just at the end, and we don't get a lot of shots of him with it, but once he does wear it, it looks really cool. And time to get to probably my biggest complaint of the movie, and probably my biggest spoiler I'm going to say here. So it's your last chance, Dane, if you don't want to find out what it is.
I'm okay, Tim. Okay. I'm okay, yeah.
So, I mean, this might not be a huge surprise since it's a villain, but they kill him off at the end. And that bummed me out because, like I said, Ewan McGregor did a fantastic job with this performance. But at the same time, I hate it when comic book movies kill off their villains that you know can be used again and serve other stories that might be told in future movies down the line. I just think it's a waste when you do that, and especially with such a good performance. And I was hoping as the movie was going along that we would see what happens to Black Mask in the comics, or at least some elements of it, where he might just be wearing the mask right now, or that she could take on and off. But I was hoping there'd be something in his final battle with the Birds of Prey where it'd catch on fire, or there'd be explosions to where it melts on his face like it does in the comics. And that is his permanent look and his face. I thought that would be a great way for them to defeat him, but yet still keep him around and have him kind of be, I guess, be their main antagonist down the line, where he just has his hatred for them now because of what they did and causing his face to look like that. But that didn't happen. He gets killed off and he's definitively dead, as you'll find out when you see it, Dane. There's no way he could be brought back for what happens to him. So that was probably my biggest disappointment of it. Just that characters was done so good. Ewan McGregor was great, and I just hate to see him go and only be in one movie. So that was my biggest disappointment of it. But the other biggest thing about this movie that is just really makes it great is the action sequence. There's some great action in this movie. The fight choreography is really, really well done, especially in the end where the Birds of Prey finally team up to take on Black Mask and his goons. And we just get this really cool, unique fight sequence in an amusement park fun house. And all the characters have a moment to shine and show off their abilities. And Harley, again, even though Black Canary is the martial arts expert of the group, she definitely does have some great fight scenes. I just really love what they did with Harley and utilizing her gymnastic abilities that we know she has. And man, she has some brutal fights and just some brutal stuff to some goons in the film, but it all made for some really cool action sequences. One in the Gotham City police station, and then one at the end, and then some short one-off fights that we get here and there. But just some really great stuff with the action that was cool to see, and definitely unique for this film, but yet work really well with all these characters and their different weapons and the abilities that they have. Just some really, really cool, inventive ways to use the action in this one. And one other thing that I just liked about it too, just the DC lore it brought into it. There is some Gotham City locations that are being referenced, which was cool to see and hear in the film. And even though he wasn't in it, I do like how Joker's presence was felt throughout this movie. And it was kind of weird because at the same time I felt they're kind of moving, obviously they're moving on from Jared Leto's Joker. And again, I don't hate his performance. It's not my favorite. So I would like to have something a little better than what we got in Suicide Squad. And you can kind of make that argument that that's the case since they're fully moving on from it. And even in the animated intro that we got showing Harley's origin, it was a classic Joker design. It wasn't anything how Jared Leto's version looked with the tattoos and the grills or anything like that. It was just the classic Joker with the white makeup, green hair, purple suit. And it's you kind of could think in your head that was the version of Joker Harley has been around, maybe before he went through the more gangster thug version that we got in Suicide Squad. But there was one scene, quick shot, where we get a small flashback of Harley and Joker, and we see Joker from behind. We don't see his face, but he was wearing his classic purple suit. And even though it was from behind, it didn't look more like that classic Joker. But then at the same time, they clearly use a shot that was shown in Suicide Squad when Joker and Harley were at Ace Chemicals. And she falls into the pit of chemicals, and that's kind of what cemented their relationship and fell in love. And you saw the back of Jared Leto's head, and you knew that was his Joker. So it is still in that continuity, but at the same time, you could kind of think there was another version of the Joker that she's been with. So it's just kind of a way to move on from the Jared Leto Joker, because I don't think he's going to play the character again. But I don't know. I thought I felt they did a good job of having Joker's presence be felt in the movie as well, because I just liked how Black Mask and there's other crime bosses, even the police department, know that they can't touch Harley because she's the Joker's girlfriend. I just like the fear that everyone had of the Joker, even as Black Mask is trying to move up and be the main crime boss or criminal of Gotham. He's still in fear of the Joker and knows he can't move on anything that is of the Joker. And once that gets found out that Harley and the Joker are no longer together, that's when he can go after her and kind of use her to get what he wants, because he doesn't have to worry about the Joker. So I do like how Joker's presence was felt in this movie, and it was how you would expect it to be, as far as those being fear of him and being the ultimate villain in Gotham, and just how true to the comics him and Harley's relationship was and how people viewed that. So it was just kind of cool to see that on screen. Not too many Batman references. There was only one that Harley makes, but there is a great one with the hyena that Harley does. There was only one hyena too. I knew we only got a few clips of it, and one was shown in the promo, but I was hoping there would be two, just like in the animated series. But it was still fun to see one of the hyenas, and that's such a big part of Harley's character and the stories that she's associated with. And to see that on screen was fun to see on there as well. So that was cool. So yeah, just a lot of great stuff that I loved about it. The story was good. I was wondering how they would all come together in this movie, and I thought it played out really well. They were kind of on their own, and little by little they get connected as the plot moves forward and more gets revealed about what Black Mask is after. And it just all felt organic and natural how they came to be. It wasn't kind of just, sometimes these cliches that we see in superhero stories about needing to come together and team up. And it has those moments, of course, because they kind of say that in the trailer where they have to work together to survive. But I just felt it was played out real organically, and it wasn't something where like everyone was gung-ho about it. And yeah, we got to do this for the greater good. They had their reservations and concerns about working with each other, knowing how some of their personalities are, but it all just felt natural and made sense. So there's just so much to like about this movie. It's fun, it's funny, great action. They do justice to the characters, and a lot of great DC lore and Easter eggs that fans will pick up on. So it was just a really, really great time. And the performances are top notch, especially from Margot Robbie and Ewan McGregor. And I felt Journey Smollett-Bell as Black Canary. So just a lot of stuff to love about it. I'm hoping we see more of these characters. Sad to say, just looking at the box office numbers this weekend, it's not doing great, which is disappointing. Not only because I liked it so much after seeing it, but just the general positive reactions I'm seeing from those who have seen it, it's kind of disappointing to see the numbers aren't reflecting that. So hopefully there's some good word of mouth and that it has stronger legs as the days go and weeks go by to more people talking and recommending it. People will go see it, but right now it's not looking too good. And I just hate that because not only is it disappointing because I really liked it, but then you get these stupid people who are championed to have it fail and going to be vindicated that it's not doing good and how DC shouldn't be making these type of movies. You know, these stupid misogynistic trolls who are just rooting to get against it because it's a female-led comic book movie and they just want to see it fail. And even the night it opened, I'm seeing tweets about people, look how empty the theater is. It's going to fail just as I predicted, but yet they're there seeing it or anyway. It's just so frustrating to see. So that's another disappointing aspect to see that those who wanted to fail from the beginning for stupid reasons are going to feel vindicated because of the low box office numbers. But not going to change the fact that I really, really like the movie and just hopefully get to see more because I think there's tons of stuff you can build on with how it ended and just how these characters were portrayed. So if I were to score it, I'm going to give it a solid 4 out of 5. I think it's a great way to kick off this year of comic book films because this is the first one we're getting for 2020. And so far, it's off to a great start. So hopefully you enjoyed as much as I do, Dane. I'm going to be curious to hear your thoughts when you do see it. But I really, really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I'm surprised people want it to fail. Does it really... I mean, why? Why did
I know. It's just...
people...
Of course, I've seen tweets going on today about someone complaining, well, if they would have made Harley look more attractive, like in this comic book story, instead of how she looks in the film, it'd do a lot better. It's like, that's all you're looking for in this movie. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm glad to hear you liked it, Tim. Maybe, well, you know what that means, right? It has the Tim stamp on it.
Yes. Now, sometimes that doesn't always work as far as you agreeing with me, but I hope in this case it does. For the most part, it does with you and me. But there's some stuff I like more than you do. But
did you like that Batman Ninja?
Can I confess something, Dane?
Movie? Yeah.
I have yet to see it. I
Really?
know I sound like a bad Batman fan. It's been out for a year, maybe even 2 now. But
Yeah.
And I had the Blu-ray too. It's just something I haven't got around to because I've really heard mixed things on it. Just how it's so crazy that it's great, or it's so crazy and different that you can't watch it. That's some of the stuff I've heard from it.
Well, if you're thinking about like your regular old Batman story, you're gonna be disappointed because it is pretty much, it is like the anime story. Just that Dragon Ball anime story where like anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, all of a sudden we're fighting in another universe on a desert planet, when it's supposed to be, I don't know, Japan or something.
Because that is the premise of it. Batman, he goes back in time or to an alternate universe where he's in feudal Japan.
I can't remember. I think he goes back in time. And then Joker all I remember is Joker makes a big, those old Japanese houses.
Uh-huh.
He makes like a big mech suit or something out of it.
Yeah, I've had seen clips of that, which look pretty strange.
Yeah, and like the Batmobile turns into a Batpod, turns into a Batwing, turns into like a...
Does it turn into a mech, like a Gundam?
I can't remember.
That would not surprise me.
I cannot remember. But I thought it was good. I mean, it's really, really out there. But if you're used to like anime, and the anime story, you'll be fine. Just see it as that.
You just got to know kind of what you're getting into with that. Something
Right.
that's totally different and just crazy, and kind of accept it for what it is.
Yeah, the art is really good in it though.
Yeah,
I thought it was animated really well. So
yeah. I mean, the animation does look good. And I'm going to check it out eventually. But it's just one of those things where I just kind of got lost in the shuffle amongst other things.
yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I don't know if you saw this, Tim, but Cowboy Bebop, It's $6 for the entire series on Xbox.
Oh, really? I know they're
Yeah.
having an anime sale on Xbox, but I didn't realize it was going to be something that cheap. How many episodes are in the whole series?
I can't remember. There's not a lot.
Like in
There's
the
not a lot.
60s, something like that, or less.
Less than that. Yeah, less than that. Let me look that up really quick. Hold on. No,
Yeah,
not the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Let's see. How many episodes are there? Yeah, so there is 36. There's 13 episodes.
That's it, really?
Oh, sorry. 3, 4, 5.
I remember when it was on Toonami, it's something like I mean, I don't watch it, but I don't. It's like pretty short for a series like that to be heavily featured, like on a weekly basis on the Toonami afternoon block, and only be that short amount of episodes.
Sorry, 10. 20. Sorry.
Okay, that's a little better, but I guess that's still pretty good for $6.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. I bought it.
So speaking of anime, I gotta ask an update on Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Where are you at on that?
Oh, geez. See, I haven't really had time to play, and I played earlier this week. What's his name? The one that looks like Raditz.
Like the other Saiyans, Vegeta,
the bad guy. Is it Vegeta?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think he showed up.
He's just got on Earth then. Or
I think so.
Okay, so you're still fairly early on into it.
Yeah. I haven't really had time to play. So
yeah, I just started it last week, and I've only played a little bit here and there too this weekend. But so far, I'm liking it. Like you said, the menu system, the level up system that they have it's a little messy, I would say.
Yeah.
But once you get the world exploring and the combat's really cool. I'm enjoying the combat, which was something I was worried about. But so far, the few skirmishes I've had have been pretty fun.
Why, is the combat not good or something in the other Dragon Ball Z games?
Yeah, and some of the fighting games that were in that style, I haven't been a big fan of. But this one isn't more in that RPG style, even though it is action based. So to me, it just feels more tight than I was expecting, or I shouldn't say as I was expecting, but was hoping would be compared to the other games that I played that were kind of in that style. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. And am I getting that right? Is it Dragon Ball universe or is it Dragon Ball Z universe?
Now, if you're encompassing the whole franchise, it's the Dragon Ball universe.
Dragon Ball universe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because Dragon Ball Z is only one thing, right?
Yeah, it's just one series.
And am I getting this correct? Because I just saw an article about Kakarot, and is it is the Kakarot game? It's an abridged version of the series.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate because there might be some. I shouldn't say all of them because I know there's one filler story that's going to be included in the game, which is the most popular filler story in the series, and it's going to probably make for a fun moment in the game. But there's probably some filler stuff they're going to leave out, and just to mention, probably mainly just the essential stuff of the DBZ story that you're going to get, which is still a lot. Cause I think they're going to cover all the main stuff, but probably certain things here and there that they're going to have to leave out.
Okay.
Over 290 episodes of the whole series, so they're not going to probably be able to cover everything.
And the turtle on Master Roshi's island.
Mm-hmm.
That's a talking turtle.
Yep.
So he talks in the animated series or the anime.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because he's not voiced in the game, and I was just wondering if does Goku understand or is he actually speaking?
Yeah, he actually talks.
Oh, okay.
That's one aspect of the game I was a little disappointed was there's obviously voice acting in the cutscenes, but when you're just having dialogue with the NPC characters, there's no voice acting. They just do like those one word reactions, like yeah, okay,
Right.
Like every time a new paragraph starts,
Yeah.
they do this quick little voiceover reaction, which it's kind of seems outdated for old school RPGs that would kind of have that when they didn't have voice acting back in the day. So
Right.
it's kind of a little bit of a production bummer there.
Well, a lot of Japanese games are like that, right? They don't have the full dialogue because it was written in Japanese, you know. And but I was thinking with the Dragon Ball Z game, why didn't they just use the dialogue from the show for the
Yeah,
game?
they probably could have. I mean, they've retold
Yeah.
the story so many times now over the course of the original run of the series. There was a different version of the series called Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is kind of more of an abridged version of the story that they redid. Then
Yeah.
the various games that do the story and story modes they recorded. So they recorded the main story so many times now. The voice actors must be sick of it. But
I know. Yeah, it's why didn't they use that dialogue or that recorded dialogue that they already have for the game rather than doing text and like you said, like, yeah, let's go for like every single sentence. Like, I don't know.
yeah, it's just I'd rather not say anything and just read the dialogue instead of having those little vocal
Yeah.
audio cues that come in that just sound, I don't know, not like
Right.
unrealistic for the conversation they're having. Like sometimes Goku would just moan like "Ah," when he's not
Yeah.
really complaining. It just sounds weird.
And does Chi-Chi do anything in the series or is she just like
Not really, just kind of
oh
be a nag to Goku when he
yeah,
wants
yeah.
to do something. And just very overprotective of Gohan.
Yeah. Oh, and Master Roshi's I don't know what you call it, Playboy or whatever. That that's a real thing in the show. They make a big point about it.
He is an old man pervert,
Uh,
which
uh,
you'll see him get put in his place by the female characters in the show, especially Bulma, who slaps him and kicks him and into various objects. Like he slaps him and he crashes into the house. There's another character named Launch who shoots machine guns at him whenever he does something like that. So
Yeah.
he never learns his lesson.
Oh, I see. Well, what a weird series. That's all. I'll say.
There's a lot of weird elements to it, but I love it so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm enjoying the game so far. The little bit I've played, but I'll continue to make my way through it. It's funny, I'm not in a super rush to. The only reason I would like to finish it because there's some games coming out soon that are going to have my full attention. But it's one of those things where I know the story, obviously, so I don't have to worry about it getting spoiled or need to find
Right.
out what happens. It's one of those things I could just play and like at my leisure and just have some fun with it and not have to hurry up and finish it because I want to find out the story and how it ends and all that.
Is it a good ending or is it just like a it ended?
No, I like it. It's a good ending for how the series is.
Oh,
But it
okay.
continues obviously afterwards. But if like Dragon Ball Z was the last bit of the Dragon Ball franchise, which it was for a while, it was still a satisfying ending.
And the name of the new series is what?
Super.
Super? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Dragon Ball Super, is it?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so that's our Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Z Kakarot update. We still barely gotten far in the game, so we'll see how far we are on by the time we record our next episode.
Yeah, I just don't have any kind of time to play video games anymore. Not like I used to.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Sadly,
I mean,
But-
I don't know how people, like adults, have time to play video games. I mean, I guess if that's all you do, like you just go
Yeah.
home play video games, I can understand that. But yeah,
If you don't- for
yeah.
entertainment reason, if you don't have like a lot of TV shows to watch or movies or things to read, and video games is your only source of entertainment, then I can see where they can
Right.
devote enough time to play several games.
Yeah. It took me forever to beat the new Wolfenstein.
Ah,
Not because, and it's not even a full game.
Like single player is not even that long.
Yeah, it's not even that long, and it's not because I had a hard time with it. It's overly long. It's because I just had no time to play video games.
Yeah. I know. I could relate. That's why I like long games, especially if it's a game and story I'm really enjoying, but sometimes it's good to get a shorter game where you can finish it and move on to another one if there's something you're itching to play. I know there's some games coming up in the next few months that I really can't wait to play. After Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I probably won't finish it in time by then, but like I said, no rush if I don't, since I know the story. But an Xbox exclusive, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, which is a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a great indie game, which looks absolutely beautiful. The graphics and art style of it is amazing. So I can't wait for that. And then because that comes out on March 311 day, in fact, March 11th. So I'll be playing that and listening to 311 music on that day. But then the month after is the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is going to get all my gaming time. I mean, that's probably my most anticipated game of the year. So can't wait for that. And I want to have Kakarot done and that Ori game done by the time that comes out, because that's all I'm going to be playing. I cannot wait. And that looks to be a meaty game too. So all my time is going to be devoted to Final Fantasy VII Remake, if it doesn't get delayed again, because it was supposed to come out in March, but just recently got pushed back till April. But it's kind of a good thing with the 2 games I have to play before it.
Well, a lot of games are getting delayed, right? Last of Us 2 was delayed till May, I think. Cyberpunk was delayed.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
So you're gonna have some time, Tim. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, I think, Tim, I'm gonna wait till all of the episodes come out.
That might be a while, Dean.
I know.
A long while.
But I don't want to beat it and then be like, oh, I have 3 more years of waiting, or whatever.
I know. Who knows how many they're going to be? Right now, I'm thinking 3, maybe a game for each disc back of the old PlayStation.
4, Tim. There's going to be 4. No.
Because it was only a 3-disc game. I know Final Fantasy 8 and 9 after were 4 discs, but 7 was only 3. But yeah, it could be 4. You never know. But if that's the case and there's a 3-year gap between them, it'll be 10 years. So you're going to have to wait to get it all.
Yeah, I don't know. Are these parts going to be full games?
Yeah, they've been selling that point of this, that even though it's only the first half of the Final Fantasy VII story, it's still a full-fledged game, which is going to probably be 50 to 60 hours. Because they are putting more into it than the original game had, new characters, new story elements to it.
Right. Huh.
So, yeah, man, especially with Square and their track record, you're going to have to be real patient if you're going to wait to play it all.
Yeah, wasn't Final Fantasy 15 delayed too?
Yep. I mean, it wasn't even called Final Fantasy 15. It was Final Fantasy 13 Versus.
Oh, okay. Well, so then it was really delayed then, because there was the Final Fantasy 14, and then this was Final Fantasy 15.
It kept going through so many changes and development issues that they probably figured, let's just make this our main Final Fantasy entry. And in the end, I think it was a good move, because I love that game. I thought it was great. But it just, because I remember they announced Final Fantasy 13 and 13 Versus back in E3 2010, and Final Fantasy 15 came out in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they only announced it because they had something there. They had something substantial, right? So they had been working on it longer than that, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
it's kind of par for the course for Square Enix and Final Fantasy games, and even Kingdom Hearts to a degree also. They just got to learn not to announce these things, or not to announce them, but not to announce release dates, because it always get pushed back.
I don't understand why they have so much problems with Final Fantasy.
I know, it's always the same thing. To ensure we're delivering the best product possible, we need a little more time to make sure it delivers. And that's always the case. You think they would know by now that the
I
release date they
know.
set, they should stick to that and know they have enough time needed to hit that release date. It's just because every time they announce a release date now, I just think, oh, we have to wait a few more months after that to actually play it
Yeah.
because we know it's
Yeah.
not going to stick to that original date.
Well, maybe it's a company thing, more like we'll announce it, but it'll just come out whenever we think it's done, sort of thing. Where it's not so we got to hit this date, you know.
Yeah, if that's the case, they just shouldn't say anything then until they know it's ready. Even if it's a short amount of time to promote it, it's still
Yeah.
better than having the bad negative buzz about a delay.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's just part of Square's MO now. It just comes with the territory for Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts games. But hey, I'll be willing to wait because I love what they give me when they put them out. I'm rarely disappointed by any new games they put out that for
Yeah.
Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts.
Well, it's better than the BioWare Anthem
That is true. Look
thing.
what that got.
I know. I mean, what happened to that game?
I know you don't even hear people talk or complain about it anymore. Like, does
Right.
anyone even play it?
You know things are bad when people stop complaining about it and they don't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah. So,
So yeah. Yeah.
I was good. Anthem was a game I was probably going to get eventually because it looked cool, but after
Yeah.
everything that happened to it and hearing you talking about it, well, I'm good. Probably won't even play it.
Yeah, that was not a complete game at all. It was barely what was it like? Have you ever played an alpha
Not
of a
really,
game? Okay.
but I know how like early in the stages of development those can be sometimes, and where they're not meant to be played.
Right, right. And they're not meant for mass consumption. It felt like a closed alpha test of a video game. Something that a developer would put out if you pre-ordered the game nowadays.
Yeah.
It felt something like that. The there there was pretty much nothing to do except the same missions over and over and over and over again. The loot system was really confusing. You think the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot upgrade system was confusing. This was even more confusing.
Wow.
You couldn't you could only put on your new armor in one place, and that was back at I forget what it's called. Maybe I think it was like Forge or something. You could only put it on there.
Man, that's lame.
If you're in the middle of a mission, you get something better. You can't put it on right there. You have to wait till you finish the mission.
Like, how can you as a developer even think that would be a good idea to utilize in the game?
Right, right. And I don't know if you remember the was it E3? The E3 demo, or was it like I can't remember, but they put out like a video, and it shows you flying through all of these terrains and stuff. But like the release version, you could only fly so far because your jetpack or whatever would overheat. So you would have to drop down and then run for a little bit, and then jump back up, and then fly again, and just repeat that over and over and over again until you get to where you're going. And not only that, there was huge lag, like huge lag. So you'd arrive in an area, right? You'd arrive in an area, you drop down, and there would be nothing there, right? For I don't know, like a minute and a half, and you're like, okay, so what are we supposed to do here? And then all of a sudden, all of these bad guys come, and you're dead. You're dead. Like
Was there a good checkpoint system where you could start where you get killed, or would you have to travel all the way back there again?
Sometimes you would have to travel all the way back, and not only that, but like I said, you had these jetpacks, and then you could jump. You could do these big jumps and stuff, but then the lag would make it so you fly into your jetpack. You don't know where you're going because the game is lagging, and then you find yourself either off the map and dead, or in a place where you can't get out of. So you would have to close the game and then relaunch it.
Well, that sounds like a real fun time.
Yeah, I know they're trying to work on it.
Still,
but,
should they even bother anymore?
I know. Maybe you guys should do another Baldur's Gate. A top-down view instead of these things.
Go back to your roots now.
Yeah, these sort of like Destiny, the Division games. Maybe you should go back to your top-down RPGs.
Yeah, that's such a shame. I mean,
yeah, especially for BioWare.
Yeah, I mean, they had such a great track record previously to that, and yeah, I mean, just look at Knights of the Republic, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age.
Well, all of the Mass Effect games except for the last one, they did.
Yeah, that was pretty divisive.
Yeah. So,
but it wasn't buggy though. I mean, there was one era where
it was.
Really?
It was.
I don't remember it being
well, when I first played it, this was when it came out. Maybe they patched it, but there was a puzzle that I just could not. You know how you're supposed to move? You're supposed to. There was a puzzle where you needed to move the pieces of a puzzle or whatever to match something, and no matter how many times I tried to go back to it, I couldn't. I would hit the X button, and then it would take me into the puzzle screen, and I couldn't move the pieces no matter what I did. And that was a story point. Like, I had to do it. That wasn't a side thing. So.
Yeah, I didn't have any of those issues for me. The only issue I had when it first launched, you couldn't import the look of your character from the first two games that you custom created.
Yeah.
Had all your decisions and your story choices, but just the look of it, there was a glitch for Xbox where it wouldn't import. So I kind of had to. I remember taking a screenshot of Mass Effect 2 of my character and try to go off that to create the new look for my character. And I got pretty close. I was to a point where I couldn't really tell a difference. But when I look back, it was like, there's a few subtle differences here. But I felt I did a good job of recreating my Commander Shepard from the first two games.
What about the mechanics of the balance of that sort of crawler thing you had? I forget what it's called.
Crawler thing, like your vehicle?
Yeah, your vehicle. Yeah.
I think that was the first game where I think it was called the Mako or the Mako that you traverse on planets to explore. Right. Yeah, that was only in the first game. Because I remember a lot of people complained about that, where it wasn't the best controlled vehicle. I think you got a new one that was better, but that roller vehicle wasn't that great. But it wasn't a game breaker for me though.
Did you finish it?
Oh yeah, I completed those games all the way through, and even replayed them a few times to get the good and bad choices and all the achievements unlocked. I love Mass Effect, so I played them to death. Even though I haven't played the latest one, Andromeda, because I've heard that one had some issues with it as well that are bug-related.
That's what I was talking about. Did you play Andromeda?
No, I have it, but was I was going to wait to play because of I've heard how many issues it was having. They were going to fix it, but then other games came out and it got lost in the shuffle. So it's still on my shelf.
Have you played the Dragon Age games?
No, I haven't played any of those.
No. I'm curious, like, how those games are, because it is the high fantasy thing. I'm just wondering if those games are good.
Well, they got great reviews, and I've heard good things about them. Just never got around to playing them.
Yeah, it's sad, BioWare.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll get back on track with whatever project they have coming up next. Maybe it could be Knights of the Old Republic that can bring them back up again. That would be nice.
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic 3.
Yes, or there's rumors about a revamp of the first game, kind of like redoing it and making it in canon now in the Star Wars universe, which I think would be cool. But still have that core element of what made the first game so great with the characters and the story.
Yeah,
with obviously
maybe
updated graphics.
Yeah, maybe redo Knights of the Old Republic before we hop onto the next IP.
I'm sure a lot of fans would be happy about that, myself included. But yeah, that's our video game section of the podcast, again, which is becoming a new feature, which which is fine by me, but as long as we're playing games that keep us talking and are fun to play. Right. But going on to just one bit of news, and it's movie news regarding the Batman, as it has officially begun filming. I know there was some leaked set photos that came out a few weeks ago, but the official press release from Warner Brothers and the first official, I guess, set image from Matt Reeves came out about a week or two ago. And it's just a cool teaser image of like the clipboard that says The Batman. And it looks like that is the title, because I know I've always been saying, is it really going to be called The Batman? That is something that was just going wrong amongst fans for so long now that I was wondering if Matt Reeves would come up with his own title for it. But it looks like it will indeed be The Batman. And it's on a chair, which I've seen some speculation about this on Twitter as well. And I think it would be cool if it is the chair that Bruce sits on as that bat flies in through the window, and that's what inspires him to become Batman. If we see that on screen, I will geek out so much, because I've been dying to see that element of Batman's origin played out in live action. And if we get that in this movie, Matt Reeves would make me so happy. So I know it's just one image of a chair, but our geeky minds can't help but go that way and think that maybe that's what it could lead to. But we'll see. I'm hoping. But then in the press release, it gave some details on the characters some of the actors are playing, confirming some and then revealing some new ones for some of the actors. So I'll just read it real quick, saying, starring alongside Pattinson as Gotham's famous and infamous cast of characters are Zoe Kravitz, of course, as Selena Kyle, Paul Dano as Edward Nashton, a.k.a. Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, Peter Sarsgaard as Gotham DA Gil Colson. And a lot of people are thinking maybe he would be playing Harvey Dent, because there were some rumblings about him being a district attorney, but he's a brand new character called Gil Colson. And the name Gil, it reminded me of the Batman the Animated Series episode, Shadow of the Bat, where it was not Barbara Gordon's debut, but her debut as Batgirl. And there was a police officer named Gil Mason, I believe. And his first name was Gil. So at first I thought, is this going to be a character like that? He was a crooked cop who was working with Two-Face. So I'm wondering if this DA might be someone who's working with some of the criminals or not. And he's going to pave the way for Harvey Dent to come in as the new district attorney. But we'll see. But Peter Sarsgaard is playing a new character. And then Jamie Lawson as a mayoral candidate called Bella Real, another new character who's going to be introduced in this movie. And then Andy Serkis, of course, as Alfred, and Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. So characters confirmed, and then some new ones revealed in this as well. So, I mean, it's officially underway. The Batman is coming, and it's good to know that cameras are rolling on this. And hopefully soon we'll get that suit reveal. I know that's what everybody's waiting for right now, and it's going to be cool when we do get it, because if those rumors are true, where they're kind of going to go back to the blue Batman cape and cowl look, I cannot wait to see how that would look again in live action. So, and in an updated form too, because the only version we've got of that in live action is the Adam West series. So I think it would be a cool choice and would be something different and unique to this film series of Batman, but could still look really cool as well. So I can't wait till we get that revealed. So yeah, cameras are rolling. Still plan to come out in 2021. So it'll be here before you know it.
I want to see Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot.
There's some set photos a lot of leaked with him. I don't know if he's filming scenes, but he's just kind of walking between takes maybe, but him on set, which, it's not like he's wearing a fat suit or anything, or he's put on weight. They're doing a different version of Oswald. I think it's probably going to be similar to what we saw in the Telltale games. Yeah. Which would be cool to see.
Maybe he's playing a digital character.
No, that's Andy Serkis.
Oh, right. So
Andy Serkis is going to do a mocap Alfred. It's going to be a CG butler suit. Matt Reeves Andy, I'm just not used to seeing you without a motion capture suit as we're filming here.
Or maybe he's playing, or maybe they're going to do a Tarkin. Right, where they're gonna bring back Michael Gough as Alfred, and he's playing Michael Gough as Alfred.
I mean, you know how much that will upset people. One thing I'm hoping for with this Alfred, I hope he has a mustache, because in all the Batman movies, Alfred has not have a mustache. Alfred Goff didn't, Michael Caine didn't, and Jeremy Irons didn't. And Alfred always has a mustache in the comics and the animated series. He did in the Adam West show, but never in a movie. So hopefully this is the time we get the comic book accurate Alfred look right with a mustache.
Yeah, how about Alfred with a beard?
I wouldn't
like
mind
a
that.
full Santa beard. You know? Like, I wonder what that would look like.
I wouldn't mind that at all. Bring it on. Let's just give Alfred some facial hair in this one.
Right.
That's my biggest demand for this movie, Alfred facial hair.
I know.
If we don't get that,
the
the movie's a failure.
Yeah, who cares about the whole Batman, Penguin, Riddler thing, Selena Kyle thing? What about Alfred? You know?
He has to have a mustache. It has to. I still think it's really cool that Andy Serkis is playing Alfred. I think he's going to be great.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, that's the bit of news going on in the Batman universe right now. So excited about that. And with that, we can go into our review section, which is going to be, for me, a review of the final episode of Arrow. And
yeah, can I just make a couple of guesses
okay,
about what happened in the last episode of Arrow, the conclusion of Arrow. Okay, so
let's see if you can guess what happens. For someone who hasn't watched it, since season 2, I believe, Dan, was when you last watched it regularly.
Yeah, I just remember whatever season it was where Oliver and Felicity have that date, and then, I don't know, they're attacked for some reason.
Yeah, that was the beginning of season 3, the premiere episode, in fact.
Season 3. Okay, so I saw season 1, and I saw season 2, and the first episode of season 3. Okay, so Oliver fakes his own death, and him and Felicity live happily ever after. That's what I think happened to Oliver. Somebody takes over the Arrow mantle, I guess you could say, hood, I'd say. And let's see. That's where I'm gonna leave it.
Okay.
Okay. No. Okay, I'll keep going. I mean, you know what? I'll leave it at that. How close am I?
You are pretty close, actually.
Really?
I think
I just made that up off the top of my head. Maybe it's because we just watched The Dark Knight Rises. But
the whole faking his death thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you're close, but certain things are
Right.
different. But you can make the argument that you're pretty accurate.
Okay, so where am I wrong then?
Okay, so first off, spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, even though it's aired about 2 weeks ago. So you're right about Oliver and Felicity living happily ever after, except he didn't fake his death. Oliver's dead. He died.
Dead?
Yeah, he died in the Crisis crossover. Like I said, he became Spectre and he sacrificed himself, defeating the Anti-Monitor and recreating the multiverse. So he's dead.
Okay.
But in the season 7 finale, last year's finale, the last shot of the season was the Monitor coming for Felicity in the future, like Star City 2040. Because in season 7, instead of flashbacks, they had flash forwards. And so we saw a lot of the future. And the last shot, like, is the Monitor coming to Felicity and taking her into this portal. And she's saying she's been waiting a long time for this. And we didn't know where she actually went, but you can kind of figure it was for her to be with Oliver. And
Right.
the last scene of the episode is they go back to that moment. She goes through the portal and she's taken back into the past where she's with Oliver. It's pretty much, they're in the afterlife. They're in the Queen Consolidated building where they first met and saw each other. And they're just happy to be reunited after, with her anyway, not seeing him for so long since he died. And then kind of living their life here in this afterlife where they're at peace and knowing that Oliver completed his mission. So it is kind of happily ever after, except Oliver's dead. And I guess Felicity's technically dead too.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like the end of Lord of the Rings. It's like, okay, so they go to Valhalla or whatever, but
The Grey Havens,
they're
but I know what you mean.
yeah, right. But they're dead. Like Frodo's dead after that.
No, they're not dead. They're just in a realm that's outside of Middle Earth that only the elves were able to go to.
Yeah, but he
So
can't go back, right?
no, yeah.
Yeah, so he's dead.
To everyone, I guess. Yeah.
Right. So Sam's not going to see him again, right? So same thing with Felicity and Oliver. So they're technically dead, right? I mean,
Yeah, Oliver's definitely
uh,
dead. I think Felicity is probably too. So
well, I
yeah,
guess
you're
if you, yeah, I guess if you really like the Felicity and Oliver thing, I guess you're happy, right?
yeah, but that
Yeah.
was one aspect of the show, as I made plenty clear that I wasn't a fan of. But I knew that's how it was going to be. I mean, they weren't going to do
Yeah.
anything. So I knew it was coming. Like, it was still a fitting way, I guess, for the characters to wrap up. But
Yeah.
and to your other point about someone on taking the hood, you're
Yeah.
right about that too. But yet it's played out differently
Okay.
because
Let me guess who it is then.
okay,
It is Black Canary.
no,
Okay. It is White Canary.
no, she's still
Okay.
off on Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh. Speedy?
No, though she does
Okay.
come back in this episode.
All right. I give up. Who is it?
It is Oliver's future daughter, Mia, who, as I talked about, where last season had flash forwards, it had to do
Yeah.
with Oliver's daughter and how start her kind of becoming the hero of Star City in 2040. And this season dealt a lot with that too. But she got her and Oliver's son, her stepbrother, they got transported back to the past and they got to meet Oliver in the present, and she got to meet her dad, and she got to train him, or he got to train her a little bit, and she came to appreciate what the legacy she had to take up. And this final episode kind of brought it in full, where she's going to take on the mantle of being the Green Arrow in Star City 2040. And there's a spinoff series coming called Green Arrow and the Canaries. So she is going to team up with Laurel Lance and Dinah Drake as the Canaries in the future. They're pretty much jumping from the present to the future in that upcoming series. So someone does take up the mantle, like you said, but it's just going to be in the future, not in the present. So
How did Oliver have a daughter if he's dead?
well, before he
Before?
got called by the Monitor, him and Felicity had her, but he never got to see her grow up because he was taken by the Monitor and he was killed in the Crisis. So
Okay.
that was
So
another
before all this happened.
yeah. So that was kind of another aspect of the finale where Felicity, because she hasn't been in the season at all, but she came back for the finale, and she's kind of dealing with seeing her daughter here in the present, because one of the story is that White Canary, Sarah Lance, went to the future to bring Mia Queen back to the past so she can see or be there for Oliver's funeral. Because that's another aspect. After the Crisis, I might have mentioned this when I reviewed the episode the last time we recorded, but
Right.
not the main populace doesn't remember post-crisis or pre-crisis how things were, but our main heroes do, because Martian Manhunter is able to have them remember what life was like pre-crisis, and then they developed, I believe it was Cisco who was able to take the Martian's power to do that and put it in, I forget if it was like a shot or something that makes you remember. So they had technology that makes you remember your life pre-crisis, and Mia Queen had that to her, so she knows everything that happened, so she wants to be there for her father's funeral. And that's what the episode was about, really, just honoring Oliver Queen and his legacy of what he did in the course of these 8 seasons of the show. And certain things are different now, because in the post-crisis, like I said, Oliver and the Paragons were able to recreate the multiverse and kind of shape it the way he wanted to. And with that, bring people back who died into this newly created universe. So the episode begins with that moment in season 2 where Deathstroke kills Oliver's mother. But instead of that happening, we see Oliver break free from his binds and stop Slade from stabbing her. So Oliver's mom is alive now, but yet she knows this isn't the main reality that Oliver came from. She knows there's a different one where she died. So it's this aspect of not making the deaths cheap and not mean anything, but to bring the characters back as well, because that did still happen. It's just that Oliver changes it. And she's back, and then Tommy Merlin's back alive, but certain characters he didn't, and Quentin Lance is back alive. So it's great to have these characters here for the finale, and it does make sense that if Oliver's kind of recreating the universe, he'd bring these people back who died because of his actions, really, or not directly for him, but, just being involved in the threats that took their lives. So he brought them back. At the same time, he didn't bring back the original Laurel Lance, because that would, this is where Arrow got a little messed up in how they handle Black Canary, because now the current Laurel Lance is from Earth 2, who was evil, who became good. So I don't think Oliver wanted to mess with the redemption of this current Laurel Lance and the progress she's made as a good character. That's why he didn't bring back the original Laurel Lance. He didn't bring back his father, because if his father didn't die, it probably wouldn't have set him on the path to become Green Arrow anyway and do all he did for Star City and eventually the universe. So the world is different post-Crisis, but it's kind of how Oliver would want it to be. And the episode also continues in the beginning, because in season 7, I believe, or was it 6, for the 150th episode, they kind of had this mockumentary kind of episode where someone is filming or making a documentary about the vigilantes in Star City and how they could be dangerous and who are they. But now it's in a different context, because they know Oliver is a Green Arrow and he sacrificed himself to save the universe. So this documentary really is painting them out to be heroes, and they're doing interviews with John Diggle and the other characters he's interacted with. So it was just a kind of a cool way to start the episode and pay tribute to Oliver. And then the episode is just dealing with the aftermath of our heroes are dealing with now with the death of Oliver, especially Diggle not kind of processing it the best way, knowing that he wasn't there with Oliver to the end. And there's flashbacks of him from season 1. They're not from season 1, but because they're newly shot scenes for this final episode, but it takes place during season 1, where Diggle's trying to convince Oliver to have him be a full partner in this, because he's not agreeing with Oliver killing all the criminals he's taking down, and he wants to kind of be his moral compass. And we show how Oliver and Diggle come to the beginning of their brotherly bond that they form in season 1, and how Diggle got Oliver to trust him enough to take him on this mission. And there was a current mission that came on in the present time. This is the only, I think, weak aspect of the episode, where someone from Oliver's past that we saw in the flashback in this episode come back to kidnap his son William in the present, and all our heroes are trying to find out who he is and rescue his son William, because they're having this funeral for Oliver, and it's the worst thing to happen, where the day before his son gets kidnapped, and so they just want to make sure they get him back for Oliver, of course, but obviously they want to save the life of his son. And so they do, and that's kind of the moment where I was talking about, where Mia Queen, she suits up with the team, and that's kind of where she fully embraces becoming or taking on the mantle of Green Arrow, I would think, and not killing the criminal, even though she was tempted to. So that I think was her big moment of really taking on that role as being the new Green Arrow in her time period in the future. But I think the best part of the episode is when we get to the actual funeral, and John Diggle gives the eulogy speech that just encompasses of everything about Oliver Queen and his character that I think we've come to know and love over the course of this 8-season run of Arrow, which I felt was a fitting way to wrap it up. And then we get these little quick shots of showing what happens to the characters afterwards, going their own ways. Diggle and his family are going to move to Metropolis, and they close down the bunker and their hideout. They shut the lights off for the first time, or for the final time, kind of giving closure to these characters as heroes, because Star City is pretty much free of crime. That was another thing Oliver did in his recreating of the universe. He made Star City kind of the pinnacle of what a city should be, free from crime and not needing really heroes. So they're kind of going to go on their own way. Thea and Roy get engaged and they get back together. But the biggest thing of what happens in this episode is the tease we got for John Diggle. Before he leaves the Metropolis, he sees this asteroid or something crash land on this field, and it just knocks him back into his truck. He gets up, he sees this big crater in the ground, and there's a box, a small box, and he opens it up. We don't see what's inside, but there's this big green light shining back at him. And it doesn't take a genius diehard DC Comics fan to figure out what that's implying. There is a green ring in there. And after years of fan speculation and theorizing that John Diggle is actually John Stewart and he's going to become a Green Lantern, he maybe not be named John Stewart just yet, but they can retcon that probably easily. But it's definitely set up where he's going to become a Green Lantern, because as they're showing that scene of him finding the box and the green light shining on him, he's giving his speech, and the bit of dialogue he had is saying, if there's one thing I've come to learn over these last few years is that, I don't remember exactly what he says, but paraphrasing, said it's a much bigger galaxy or universe than I thought, or I originally thought. And you hear him say that as you see the green light, obviously implying, the Green Lantern Corps is just out there in the universe. So it was just a cool thing, I think, for John Diggle, for the character and the journey he's been on, learning to become a hero, being a brother of Oliver, and finally culminating into him getting a Green Lantern ring. I think is pretty cool. And it actually makes me excited because we know there's a Green Lantern series coming on HBO Max, and I believe the talks about it are that it is supposed to be set in the Arrow universe. And to me, that just makes sense for maybe one of the main characters is going to be John Diggle, and his character arc can continue beyond Arrow. And to have that continue with him being a Green Lantern, first off, I think that's something I never would have expected by watching the early seasons of the show. But I just think it's really cool where that's where his character journey has gone from. Him becoming Oliver's driver and bodyguard to becoming a Green Lantern. They're just all really cool about that. So nothing confirmed yet. They tease it, but I think that would be a really cool way to go for the Green Lantern series coming to HBO Max, is having John Diggle be a part of that as a Green Lantern. So that was a really cool surprise about the episode. So I think all the characters got a proper send-off. Obviously, Diggles was really cool. We talked about Oliver and Felicity, and just everyone coming to terms and appreciating what Oliver did. And there was that Dark Knight Rises moment too, like the night before the funeral, Quentin Lance is honoring Oliver, and they unveil a great Green Arrow statue out in Star City, which reminded me of Dark Knight Rises. But again, just all these little things that are nice fitting tributes for Oliver and just the series in general. So it's a lot of callbacks to the history of Arrow over its 8 seasons. So yeah, I thought it was a fitting conclusion. It's the end of an era for superhero television, because regardless of how you felt about the series and the various ups and downs it has over the course of its 8 seasons, because it definitely had some really great highs with seasons 1, 2, and 5, and then a lot of lows with season 4 and 6, and some in-betweens like 3 and 7 and 8 I felt was pretty good. It was a nice lead up to Crisis, and then just a great way to honor the entire series throughout the whole course of the season. So I'd say thinking about the series as a whole, like I said, ups and downs, but you cannot underestimate how important it was to the superhero landscape on television. Look at all the shows it spawned off and this universe it created. I mean, production quality aside, the biggest comparison you can make to Arrow is that it's the Iron Man of the DC universe on TV. It just spawned off all these series, these team ups, these crossover events, like in Infinite or Crisis on Infinite Earths. It just cannot be understated how Arrow was the beginning of that, and just the success of it brought on this whole TV universe, which is really cool to see play out over the course of these 8 seasons. So, yeah. So if I had to rate this episode, for a finale of the entire series, I'm going to go ahead and give it, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. And I guess for a rating scale, I'm going to say 3.5 out of 5 years it took Dane to get a Star Wars t-shirt. That's my rating scale for this episode.
That's a good one.
So it was a solid finale. There were certain things I felt they could have done without, like that mission they had to go on to rescue Oliver's son, William. If it was just fully dedicated kind of as a tribute to Oliver and the show, I think it could have been a really, really great finale. But in the end, it was a solid one that honored the show and its legacy in a good way. So yeah, that's it for Arrow. I'm glad I stuck with it for 8 seasons. Like I said, it was an up and down ride, but in the end, I'm glad I stuck with it and got to see this journey that Oliver Queen went on in his in this television universe. And again, the legacy it built off with all these various shows that are still currently airing on the CW, and more to come, I'm sure. We got the Superman and Lois show coming, The Green Lantern show is supposed to be in that universe. So again, just not all of them are great. I'll be the first to admit that. I don't even watch all of them, but you just cannot deny the success of Arrow spawning all these great TV shows, and just what it gave for DC comic fans on TV is just a great feat in itself for a show that you never would have thought of by watching the first episode back in 2012. So it's definitely going to have its special place in DC legacy. When you think about it, as the character of Green Arrow, you'll be thinking about this TV show and how it's a big part of that character's journey. So yeah, it's been a fun 8 years. But with that, I think that's going to do it for this episode. So yeah, had a great movie to review, some fun game stuff to talk about, upcoming movies discussion with the Batman now filming, and then the closeout of a long-running DC TV show of Arrow. So a lot of fun stuff to talk about on this one. But as always, I'll throw it back to you, Dane, for the outro.
All right, I have to get it up first.
You mean you don't have the show notes up?
Just go over to BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handles at BatmanUniverse, show's Twitter handle is at BatFansPodcast, Tim's Twitter handle is at TimG311, my Twitter handle is at DaneSaysBanana. Rate and review us on iTunes, and you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode, Tim.
We love each and every one of you with all of our Star Wars t-shirt wearing hearts.
Yeah, I like that. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.
Yeah.